अस्सलाम वालेकुम लवली स्टूडेंट। आज की इस वीडियो में आपको करते हैं फिर से खुशामदीद। तो जी स्टूडेंट, आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है वो है बायोडाइवर्सिटी। आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे, आज हम इलैबोरेट करेंगे, आज हम एक्सप्लेनेशन करेंगे बायोडाइवर्सिटी की। व्हाट इज बायोडाइवर्सिटी इन एनवायरमेंटल? बेसिकली द बायोडाइवर्सिटी द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ टू वर्ड बायो एंड डाइवर्सिटी. Bio mean living organisms and diversity mean variety. So we say that in short word, the variety of living organisms are also called biodiversity. Basically, the term biodiversity was represented by W.G. Rosen in 1985. So Rosen was said that biodiversity is referred to the variety of living organisms within a community within an area. For example, the different varieties and types of living organisms, plants, microorganisms, and further so on. Has a blue whales, has a sunflowers and etc. Then what term we will be used in this term in biodiversity? Endemic species. Endemic species. Basically, endemic species are living organism particular small geographical area, and otherwise you can say that living organism particular big geographical area. For example, blind snakes, dwarf snakes, marco, and further so on. So Rosen was said that it is also referred to the interrelatedness to genes, species, and ecosystem and their interaction with the environment. For example, marine ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, desert ecosystem, and further so on. So there are three levels of biodiversity. So there are three types of biodiversity: genetic biodiversity, species biodiversity, and ecosystem biodiversity. Now we first of all discuss what is genetic biodiversity. Genetic biodiversity is referred to the genes information transfer parent within a species. For example, your eyes colors, your hair colors, your skin color, your language, and further so on are also called genetic biodiversity. And then there are three types of genetic biodiversity: mutation, gene flow, एंड सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. मैं यहाँ पर उसे एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूंगा बिकॉज फिर लेक्चर काफी लेंथी हो जाएगा, वीडियो काफी लेंथी हो जाएगी. देन नेक्स्ट वीडियो में इंशाल्लाह मैं जेनेटिक बायोडाइवर्सिटी को एक्सप्लेन करूंगा. सो सेकंड टाइप इज स्पीशीज बायोडाइवर्सिटी. स्पीशीज बायोडाइवर्सिटी इज द नंबर ऑफ डिफरेंट स्पीशीज दैट आर रिप्रेजेंटेड इन अ गिवन एरिया. फॉर एग्जांपल, अमेरिका ग्रेट बैरियर रीफ, it's a ecosystem, it's a community. Then 400 corals, 150 fish, 4000 moths, and further so on. So there are two concepts we use in species biodiversity. First concept is species richness, and so basically first concept species richness basically is related to the number of species per unit area. यानी कि हमने कंपैरिजन करना है कि एक इकोसिस्टम से दूसरे इकोसिस्टम में कितनी स्पीसीज रहती हैं और किसकी तादाद ज्यादा. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ द वन एरिया A and second area B, in one area 400 species and then second area 500 species. Now where the big amount of species, A or B? You are absolutely right. In area B the big amount of species, so it's also called species richness. यानी कि जिस इकोसिस्टम में स्पीसीज की तादाद ज्यादा होगी हम उसे क्या कहेंगे? हम उसे स्पीसीज रिचनेस कहेंगे. Then second concept, species abundance. Species abundance basically is the number of individual per species in a community in a location. यानी कि हमने यह बताना है कि इंडिविजुअली तौर पर एक इकोसिस्टम में कौन कौन सी स्पीसीज रहती हैं, उनकी तादाद कितनी है, उनकी अमाउंट कितनी है. फॉर एग्जांपल, in Pakistan ecosystem, marco are very little amount of marco. So we say that the marco is a species abundance. Then same as the species abundance we use to a one term relative abundance. Relative abundance is referred to the how much common or how much real species is related to other species in a location in a community. It means that in one ecosystem how common species are living and how rare species are living due to location, due to community. And then two index to measure the biodiversity. First is Shannon-Winner index. Now in Shannon-Winner index the rate of the number of species to their importance value. For example, biomass, productivity, trophic level, and community. Second is S-Epson diversity index. Is a measure of diversity which takes into account the number of species present. Relative abundance. We know very well what is relative abundance, how common or rare species. And then S. Simpson Diversity Index. The big example of S. Simpson Diversity Index is a relative abundance. And second type is ecosystem biodiversity. Basically, the ecosystem biodiversity, the variety of different habitat, community, and ecological procedure. For example, aquatic ecosystem, desert ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, marine ecosystem, and further so on. Now basically biodiversity is measured into three terms: alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Basically alpha diversity of species in different habitat. Example of alpha diversity is species richness, because it is a comparison which habitat, which community, which ecosystem is a high amount of variety of species. Now we use the term of species richness in alpha diversity as an example. Second is beta diversity. Beta diversity basically it is a comparison that change the variety of species from one ecosystem to another ecosystem. Biodiversity span two or more ecosystem. For example, the sun to migrate before a winter season. Gamma diversity basically it is a measure of the overall diversity for large landscape. Now, what is importance of biodiversity? Basically, the importance of biodiversity will be divided into three types: ecological services, biological services, and social services. Ecological services. Basically, ecological services multitude benefit to nature provide the society. For example, social stability, climate stability, nutrient recycle, water resources, atmosphere gases. And then second is biological resources. Basically biological services many benefit to human provide by the natural environment and from healthy ecosystem. For example, your food and medical product, wood product, breeding stock, and further so on. Now the last services is social services. Basically the social services is benefit and facilities such as research, education, culture, skate plant, tourism, recreation, and further so on. Now there are many causes of biodiversity. For example, natural causes and man-made causes. Natural causes has a climate change, population, landslide, flood, and so on. And then man-made causes: pollution, over-exploration, fire, overuse of anything, deforestation, and further so on. तो ये था असल में बेसिकली द इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी इनटू शॉर्ट वर्ड। तो उम्मीद करते हैं आपको ये लेक्चर पसंद आया होगा। अगर आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो इस टॉपिक रिलेटेड तो आप हमें कमेंट्स में पूछ सकते हैं। तो चलते हैं, दुआ में याद रखिएगा। खुदा हाफिज।